Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is the Road to the Record, where I work to achieve mastery of 10 games and a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you'd like to see, remember to hit that like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2019, episode number 20 of the series. A rare home game. It's the first home game that we have seen in this view all season, and we're off to a quick start with a 13-2 lead. I'm going to let the game kind of roll through as we go over March Madness, real life tournament ongoing. You, at the time of release of video, are now looking at halfway through the Elite Eight. For me, at the time of recording, I'm recording this one day ahead of time, so I am entering the Elite Eight part of the competition. So some of my predictions will have already been played out, and I'll reflect on my predictions for the Sweet 16 as well on what we had going on there, as the lead is down to 6, by the way, at the moment, and now down to 3. Down to 2. It's a good time to use that 30-second timeout and see if we can improve. Well, anyway, looking back on the Sweet 16, number 1 seed overall, Duke, the favorite to win the tournament. I mentioned that they might not go down in the Sweet 16, but I definitely don't think that they're going to win the tournament. They look vulnerable. They don't look as good as is suggested, and St. Louis really has rolled back on us. We are way behind on rebounds, and I think I need another timeout here. Really struggling here. We've barely scored in quite a while. Anyway, Duke, again, looking vulnerable. Another close game, and even their first-round game against North Dakota State, yes, they won by 23, but when you have that huge of an advantage over a team that barely squeaked their way into the tournament, they were just 18-15, and then from a small conference, meaning they should have gotten blown out by 40, 50, maybe even 60 points. Trailed by 4 at the half here. And then to escape with a 1-point victory against Central Florida. And then again, Virginia Tech had every opportunity to win that game and absolutely blew it. And Duke wins by 2. I think Michigan State will beat Duke. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Zion Williamson is too good. I think that team is too good to get blown out. But I do think that they will not win this tournament. And I think Michigan State is good enough to make it happen. Will it be Michigan State? Will it come down to the Final Four? I don't know. But I do not think that Duke will be playing in the final. I think if it's not Michigan State, it will be Gonzaga, which means obviously my next choice, Gonzaga over Texas Tech, and I think comfortably. I think they'll be double digits on that win. Still trailing here, by the way. We're down 5, and we've played really poorly kind of throughout this game. We're starting to build a little momentum here, but all of a sudden we're down 6. On the other side of the bracket, my Ducks were so close to knocking off Virginia, true 1 seed, and the Ducks really took it to them, but Virginia's good. Very good. I think Purdue, great win over Tennessee, but I think Virginia is definitely the better team, so I expect Virginia to move on past Purdue, though it'll be a tight contest. And then for the other potential Final Four matchup, with Auburn and Kentucky, I was surprised that last time out here, we're still down 9. 3 minutes, now down 13. Big three-pointer there. They are 9 for 27 beyond the arc, and that's really making a difference. Plus, the free throw side of it, we're shooting 36%, and it looks like we are very much going down. We're down everywhere except for turnovers, where we're plus 6. And here we go, final 30 seconds, and yes, this is going to be a loss. So I actually expected we would get the job done relatively well here against St. Louis, and we do not. We dropped the game 73-66. Ramey had a big day with 19 points, but the point guard only had 1 assist. Watkins had a terrible day, 3 of 14 shooting. Lofton off the bench put up 10 points, but even then it was still 4 of 11. It wasn't great numbers. Jefferson just 2 of 6. Little worrying that game. Sign of things to come? I don't know. Anyway, I was surprised that Auburn was able to knock off North Carolina, and by 17. Kentucky was lucky to survive Houston. I predicted a narrow victory for Houston. I was pretty close to that in the end, and I still think that Kentucky is vulnerable. However, now they're not going to be playing North Carolina. Now they're playing Auburn. And now I think Kentucky, compared to Auburn, might have a slight advantage. But again, if Auburn could beat the 1 seed in North Carolina by 17, they might be able to knock off Kentucky as well. I don't think that... I would say Final Four matchup out of that side, right? If I'm looking at that half of the bracket, I'm thinking Virginia into the championship game. On the other side of the bracket, personally, I'm rooting for Gonzaga as they're from Washington. Does that mean that they're going to get there? Yeah, I think it does. I still think they're going to have a slight edge over Michigan State. Or, like I said, I don't think Duke is getting into the championship game. Can they survive Michigan State? Maybe. Just barely again. But I think their downfall is coming either this game or the next. All right, so that brings us to 9-3 in conference, 18-7. Semifinal list, Nate Rivers of Syracuse still a favorite. We've got Miami, Tulane both coming up. We've played them earlier this season, but that was a very different time. Tulane ever so slightly favored over us. And when it comes to Miami, 50-50, we're going to be on the road for that one. So it's going to be a mixed bag of tricks here down the stretch. Now at 9-3, Tulane actually is leading the conference now, and we're actually not even secured. Georgia has moved up into a 3-way tie for the last 2 spots of automatic promotion. St. Bonaventure still just 1 game behind. Virginia Tech 2 games behind, and then a bit of a drop from there. But this is going to be tight with 4 games left in the conference schedule. Next up, Central Michigan on the road. Every road game is always a wonder, always a mystery, could go any way. Oregon State Beavers cracking the top 25 there at 18-7. Villanova still ranked, though they are up to 9 losses now. Notre Dame all the way up in 17. There's Cincinnati, our opening game of the season, 28-5. They are 18th. Gonzaga all the way down to 13th right now as they're struggling through their conference schedule a little bit this season. North Carolina in 9th. There's Duke. There's UConn. Got Indiana still up there, but in 6th. Kentucky. North Carolina State at 23-2, dominating their conference and sliding up into the top 4 now. Arizona also, Purdue and Syracuse on top. But that typical beat 'em up of the top few conferences is very much going on right now, and just a few teams left kind of surviving the gauntlet this season. Our RPI is still really good at 31, but that loss will hurt us a bit. 18-7 on the season. We're still looking good for 20 wins this year, but this is definitely not what last season was, thanks to the horrible loss of Clint King. If you didn't see the last episode, woe is me, is all I've got to say about that. It was not a good episode in terms of morale for myself and for the team, as we struggled through a whole slew of injuries, one after another. affecting us. And, of course, the most important all is the loss of Clint King for almost a full calendar year. (74-64) the win over the Chippewas. Granbury 15 points, 23 for Edward Ramey, so we certainly missed him that first half of the season, and that kind of all fed into things too. I mean, that was his own stupidity to go on academic ineligibility for half the season, but that's all affected us. 7 turnovers though, not good. He's not a great distributor of the ball, but 5 of 16 beyond the arc. That's where most of those points came, but that's also where a lot of the misses came. He was 9 for 21 overall though. It's an okay shooting percentage. Watkins had 10. Jefferson had 12 boards this game. Runyon only 2. Granbury just 5 boards. That's really low for his number. But you can absolutely see it was the starting 5 that got the job done in this one. Next up we have Charlotte. Charlotte is just 5-20. 49ers there. Not looking good on the season. They've managed a few wins, but I think they're right at the bottom of the conference. And being that we are playing them at home, that should be probably our easiest win of the entire season. So that's where we're at on the mid side of the bracket. Of course, like I said, the first couple matchups have already taken place at the time that you might be watching this, if you're watching this just after posting. Of course, if you're watching it later, you've probably had the entire Elite Eight already played out. Now, on the women's side of the bracket, of course, they are offset by 1 day. So as the men go through Thursday through Sunday, the women's bracket is played Friday through Monday. So they are still only partway through the Sweet 16. The Elite Eight is not entirely set just yet, but there's definitely some good basketball going on there as well on the women's side. And unlike in years past where you had 1, 2, or 3 teams that were absolutely dominant, and year after year, one of those few teams was going to be your national champion, that number is really starting to grow. The tournament as a whole is much more competitive than it has been in years past, and there's a lot more potential winners this year than there have been possibly ever in the women's tournament. Right now we've got Iowa through to the Elite Eight, and they are definitely looking good. They are a 2 seed, but if Baylor gets past South Carolina in its Sweet 16 matchup, I think Baylor right now is the favorite to win the tournament, and I think Iowa will be overmatched with Baylor, though that could be a competitive game. In the next part of the bracket, that's the East region. In the West region, we have Mississippi State through. They beat Arizona State. Arizona State has been good at times this year. I've seen them play quite a few times. Arizona State was a little fortunate to get as far in to the tournament. Yes, they were a 5 seed, but 20-10 in the regular season. Not a dominant team in the Pac-12. That was one of the weaker teams that made it into the tournament. So them losing by 23 over Mississippi State, not a big surprise. That game was actually a lot closer than the final score suggested. Mississippi State, though, is looking good. They've only had 2 losses on the season. They are definitely deserving of that 1 seed, as they've got the second best overall record in the entire nation. Now, the other half of that Elite Eight matchup is going to be the University of Oregon, my alma mater. The Ducks only won their game by 10. However, they easily could have won that game by 40 or 50 if they were shooting the ball better. They are the best 3-point shooting team in the country. They've got 3 players all in the mid 40% range for 3-point shooting. And then they've got Ruthie Hebert inside, who absolutely dominates the post area, which is what frees them up to still make a lot of threes, but also score inside. So they have a great inside-outside game, and the best ball distributor in all of women's college basketball in Sabrina Ionescu. When you put all that together, we've got Miami today, by the way, on the road here. Even though they're only 10-15, it is on the road, so not a guarantee that we'll come away with a win, but we could certainly use a win here to bounce back from the loss that we recently had. Though we are 11-3 now. I think I missed a game in there, did I not? Oh, it is a loss, 11-4. And we've got Tulane in that final game, 78-66. What's it going to be now? Oh my goodness, we have a four-way tie. St. Bonaventure, Georgia, and then Tulane and us. And we play Tulane at Tulane here. Our only home loss has been to Tulane, I believe. Let's see, was that the case? No, it was St. Louis at home. Right. We watched that game. So we beat Tulane 69-50 at home. So we beat them by 19 points. It's going to be difficult to beat them again, though. We are without Clint King, of course, now. And then, let's see. Georgia we beat head-to-head, so that could be a tiebreaker over them. And St. Bonaventure we beat 91-68. So we could have tiebreakers over those teams if we do lose this game to Tulane. But it's definitely not a given that we will have some sort of tiebreaker. We've got the highest RPI, much higher than Georgia and St. Bonaventure. But yeah, this game, all to play for. Top three are guaranteed automatic promotion. So obviously, whoever wins between Tulane and I will be promoted. Whoever loses, it's going to depend on what happens with Georgia and St. Bonaventure. Anyway, the Ducks, they missed a lot of easy layups, and they missed most of their threes. I think they only made like 3 in the entire game. Aaron Boley was 0 for 7 for the game. 5 of those 3-point attempts. I mean, and most of those were really good looks. And that was the thing. The Ducks offensively created more good looks there against South Dakota State than I think I've seen from any team in the tournament. And that was in that game. That included the earlier rounds where they won quite comfortably. They moved the ball so well down into the post as they had a size advantage. And got tons of good looks, and they got lots of really good looks from outside of 3. They were not forced to take very many bad shots in that game whatsoever. They just shot really poorly. South Dakota State, for the game on a whole, shot terrible. That's because they almost never got a good look. Now, one thing that helped them is their best player, Miller, was really fortunate that the refs gave her what they did. She lowered her shoulder and extended her arm into defenders as she drove the lane again and again and again and again and again. And at least 5 times got to the free throw line when it should have been either a no call or it absolutely should have been offensive foul. So she was absolutely fortunate that the refs kept giving her that call. And not once did she get called for the offensive foul, which was really surprising. Even after the very first time that she did it. And I was pointing out to my wife how that should have been an offensive foul and describing to her what she did. And she was agreeing that she clearly saw it. Then they cut to a shot of Kelly Graves, the coach, talking to the ref and explaining the exact same thing, demonstrating what I had just pointed out to my wife. But she continuously did it, and multiple times the announcers even pointed out that extension of the arm, but the refs called what they called. Tulane takes the early lead here, 16-10. Well, anyway, the Ducks have already beat Mississippi State once this season. It's going to be difficult to replicate that, but the game is being played at the Moda Center, home of the Portland Blazers, in Portland. So it is essentially a home game again for Oregon, even though it's on neutral territory. I do pick the Ducks to beat Mississippi State for a second time this season to break that 3 straight years in the Elite Eight and get into the Final Four. Now the South bracket, neither Sweet 16 game has been played. So Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Personally, I'm rooting for Texas A&M, though I think Notre Dame will be too much for them. And then Missouri and Stanford. I'm definitely pulling for Stanford, as I would love to see them to getting into the Final Four. The other Sweet 16 matchups in the Midwest, Louisville beat Oregon State and beat them pretty handily. And then UConn survived a tight contest with UCLA. And UCLA has been good at times, which, by the way, we lead by 3 at the moment right now as we're approaching halftime. UCLA has been really difficult to beat at times, but they have been very inconsistent. This was one of those games where they were difficult to beat. UConn proved to be too much in the end, winning 69-61. But of those two teams, I think Louisville looks better than UConn right now. UConn, a 2 seed for the first time in, how many years has it been? 8 years? 9 years? 12 years? I don't know what it's been. It's been a very, very long time. I heard the number, but I've forgotten. What happened? Our lead turned into a deficit while I was not looking. Definitely need to pay attention here for the second half. All right, second half underway, and we'll turn our attention here on this game. But excitement still to come in that tournament, as well as the Elite Eight will be set by the end of the night. And both tournaments have been very exciting so far up to this point. Very few dull games. I'd say the most boring game, which I did not see the entire game, but the most boring game I've seen so far was Michigan State and Texas Tech. Oh, not Michigan State. Michigan. Sorry. The Wolverines at Texas Tech. 2-point game here, 13 minutes to play. How are we looking? Rebounds, +1. Turnovers, +4. Field goal is absolutely killing us here. 34%. They are 47%. That is the difference. We are getting the free throw line a lot more often. We are just 2 of 9 beyond the arc. They are 6 of 20. That's what's got to change here if we are going to win this game. We are not shooting well from 3. And we actually trail by 9 right now. This is a good time to use a timeout. Ramey's got 11. Watkins has 11. Neither one of them getting the assists, so we're not getting good ball distribution. Runyon's got 8 and 7 here, but he's just 3 of 11. Hunter's been in there quite a while, so what's going on? Jefferson, quite tired. Okay. Runyon's got 8 points, 8 rebounds, just 3 of 11 shooting. So again, it is the shooting that's hurting us. We trail by 9 at this point. This is a game we really need something. So what is going on here, guys? What is going on? I'm going to try to use that 30 here. There we go. Last 30. I've got 1 full timeout remaining with 2 minutes to play. And we trail by 9 at the moment. We need a stop here. We need a stop. Slow down. Trailing by 11, minute 11. Defensive foul, both free throws. Deficit's down 9. If we can get a stop here, I will use a timeout with 50 seconds remaining. There's the miss. Oh, offensive board. And without any fouls coming, this is going to do it. Guys, they're not coming any fouls. Clock's running out. Use that timeout here. 12 seconds left. There's a 2. Trail by 7. No stop. Clock runs out. That is our season. Regular season, anyway, is done. Tulane gets the automatic promotion. Let's see what happened here. Let's see. Georgia lost their game, so we're still in it technically. How about St. Bonaventure? They lost as well. So we've got a three-way tie for 2 spots. Tulane is through. Tulane has won the regular season with that victory. And like I said, 11-5 might be enough, but it might take 12-4. Well, that's exactly where we're at. 11-5 might be enough, but it's probably going to take 12-4. So, I couldn't tell you. From the look of it right here, we've got a tiebreaker as we beat Georgia and St. Bonaventure head-to-head. But that has not always been the case. We will see as we enter the tournament where it puts these teams, what the seeding is. Once I know the seeding for the tournament, if we are in the top 3, then we've already been automatically promoted. If we are just the 4 seed, meaning whoever is matched up with Virginia Tech, whoever plays Virginia Tech is the one that will still have to earn promotion through the conference tournament. So the thing we're looking for is Virginia Tech, and then whoever they're playing, we'll keep an eye on them, and whoever they match up with in the second round. It says we're still second, and you would think we have the tiebreaker, but there is no clear area that explains the rules that says what is what. Or if it is in the help section, I think the help section just takes you to the forums. It's probably been discussed there. I've actually never looked that up specifically. Anyway, we do get to 20 wins on the season, so that much is guaranteed. Will we get further, though? Can we make it 2 in a row on conference championships? Will we at least get promoted back up to the highest tier we've ever been in, which is Conference F? That part we'll at least find out here soon. What we can tell right now, at least, is who's out. Well, no, not even then. We've got the same sort of thing going on here. Chattanooga's out. Charlotte is out. They're both going to get relegated, but the other relegation spots, 2 out of these 3, are going to get relegated. 1 team will survive. Is it Georgia Southern? Maybe. I don't know for sure. Georgia Southern, Wyoming, Virginia Commonwealth, all on equal footing at 6 and 10. Again, it's still showing us in that top spot, but doesn't necessarily mean anything at all. RPI has dipped to 40, but I think win or lose on the tournament, we should have a good enough record to get into the NCAA tournament, but that is definitely not a given. We could end up with an NIT bid if we do not go on to win the conference championship. Tulane, of course, claims the regular season title, but in terms of school info, in terms of school records, all of that comes down to the tournament winner. All right, so here we go. We have Virginia Tech and Georgia Southern. So it is Georgia Southern, who was the top team listed, that has survived. So Georgia Southern is not relegated, right? Am I right in that? Yes. So Georgia Southern gets Virginia Tech, which means Wyoming and Virginia Commonwealth, Right? We should not see them here. There you go. Are relegated. So, there's one thing. The standings are showing Georgia Southern on top. So does that mean we claimed second place? Well, we'll find out soon. Like I said, whoever is playing against Virginia Tech or Georgia Southern in the next round, that is the team that is going to be seen as the 4 seed. Because you got 4 winners moving on. Tulane's going to get the winner of like St. Louis and North Carolina Greensboro. And is that what we have? St. Louis, North Carolina Greensboro? Yes. There you go. Okay. I think they are basing it off of the standings. In the 2017 edition, it didn't necessarily match. So, it is appearing to be that way, which would mean our tiebreaker with wins head-to-head over Georgia and St. Bonaventure have given us second place. Let's go ahead and move forward today, though, and see what's it going to be. Yep. And it was Georgia Southern who won, but it's St. Bonaventure who is the lowest listed. So there you go. A 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and then your 5-12, your 6-11, 7-10, and 8-9. So yes, okay. So that does mean we officially took second place in the league thanks to the tiebreakers in the regular season. So we will be promoted. Now, we've got a few games potentially to play to go for a conference championship. And losing now and going 20-10, definitely, I would think we would not make the tournament if we lose this game. Players declared for draft. Nobody has declared. That is fantastic. So Clint King has not pulled a bowl, or many other players who have gone injured and were already heavily favored to go to the NBA and have then done so, making their preparations for that instead of recovery. So Clint King will be back with us, but of course he is going to miss a good chunk of next season, as it was nearly a 365. I think it was about 330 days, so 11 months out on his torn Achilles. Finalists, Syracuse, Nate Rivers has been replaced by the small forward Jamie Maddock of UConn at the top. And South Carolina, 14-14. Okay. I'm going to trust my team that they can pull this one off, and we'll see. I don't have a next opponent. We lost. Okay, so 20-10. We might not be into the NCAA tournament. We lost 82-79. The one game that we should have been able to get through, the semifinal, I wasn't so sure about. The quarterfinal, I figured for sure. No. When you're without your best player and you're struggling down the stretch, things happen. You know, I never cuss on this channel, but there's a famous quote from one Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump when he's running, and he's running, and he's running. This is when he's running back and forth across country, and he's got some guy interviewing him, and I think it's the bumper sticker guy, right? He's interviewing him, and he's running, and he runs right through a pile of crap. And the guy's like, "Whoa, man, you just stepped in, run, you know." And He's like, yep, it happens. He's like, what? You know, the crap, it happens? And then, and then you get those lovely bumper stickers with the smiley face. Oh, no. I think he got covered in mud, right? On his face? I don't know. Whatever it was. That part happened too. But, yeah, that was ugly. So, Donnie Jefferson, big game, 25 points for him. We got double digits from everybody in the starting five, but 3 of 13 shooting from Edward Ramey, 1 of 10 beyond the arc. So, again, shooting appears to have been our downfall, as it has much this season. We led by 7 at the half. They never led by more than 4 the entire game. Points in the paint was 46-26. Fast break points, 12-4. Everything points to we should have won that game, except the shooting. So, what is going to happen from here? My guess is that is not going to be good enough for an NCAA tournament bid. I think 20 and 10 won't be enough for a team from our conference. I think we might be on our way to the NIT. Tulane has gone down. Oh, Tulane had already gone down. They went down in the first round too. St. Louis beat Tulane. Wow. Okay, Georgia won, St. Bonaventure won, and then here we got South Carolina with the upset over Georgia. Here we've got St. Louis with the upset over St. Bonaventure. So St. Bonaventure is not going to get promoted either. Tulane's going to get promoted. We're going to get promoted. Georgia will be promoted as the 1, 2, and 3 from the regular season. Whoever wins this game, whoever wins the conference tournament, whether it's St. Louis or South Carolina, they will get the 4th promotion spot. And it is South Carolina, the Gamecocks, who I think were relegated last season, potentially anyway. 20-point halftime lead is enough. They hang on. The only lead for St. Louis was 2, or at least their largest lead was. There were 9 lead changes, so it probably went back and forth early in the game. I would imagine they didn't come back in the second half. But there was a 31-point lead at one point. So, South Carolina, 4th one from our conference, going ahead. Let's check out what's going on at the top. They're actually not yet done. Let's go ahead and finish the week. And then we'll go back and check out their tournament. It's sad where this season has gone in that thought of, what could have been. But with no one leaving, we get King back, we get Granberry back. Let's get back up there. Let me see if... Nope, they actually still haven't even finished. Let's get... it looks like Purdue and North Carolina are in the conference championship. And Purdue, the Boilermakers, so number 3 in the nation. The semifinal, it was Purdue over Michigan State. It was North Carolina over Arizona. And in Conference B, Syracuse, number 1 team in the nation, with a comfortable win over the Longhorns. of Texas. Semifinal was Syracuse over Houston. In fact, that game was a lot closer. And Texas over Notre Dame. So Syracuse will be in Conference A next season. Regular season, we'll look at these top two conferences and then move on. So Arizona, best conference record. Michigan State, Purdue just behind. Oklahoma State, they're in fourth. So the relegation zone, Louisville, Florida, Georgia Tech, Clemson. They were the only teams not ranked besides the Ducks. And in Conference B, of course, Syracuse, they won the tournament, so they're definitely going up. Texas will be going up because they were into the final, along with UConn. And it looks like Iowa has the tiebreaker over Cincinnati, so the same Cincinnati team that beat us early in the season took fourth in Conference B. Alright, so we are on to the selection show. Let's go ahead and watch. I do not think that we're going to be getting in, but we're going to go quickly here, as there's not much time left for this episode. And I'm kind of wanting to wrap up the season here, so let's go. I am in some sort of tournament. There's at least 2 emails. That's a given, 20 wins, but we'll see. Do we get in? There's Central Florida. Purdue, a 1 seed. North Carolina, a 2 seed. UConn, a 3 seed. There's Tulane, 13 seed. So Tulane got in. They didn't win the conference tournament either. If Tulane got in, maybe we got in. They went out the same round we did. We had a better record by 1 game, I think, overall. And we had a much more difficult non-conference schedule. That's why our RPI was higher. Arizona, a 1 seed. Michigan State. There you go. Okay, we got in. We're going to play Kansas. We are an 11 seed. We have a better record than Kansas, but of course they are up in that top 1 or 2 conferences. So let's go ahead and fly through this here. For the sake of time. All right. So we made it into the tournament. We do get a tournament bid. That is good. But we've got Conference A, powerhouse, Kansas. They're only 18-10, but that's not because they're struggling. They struggled a bit, 7-9 in conference, but that means they were 11-1 non-conference. So that's kind of that point that I bring up. I mean, your conference winner is 12-4. These guys absolutely beat up on each other. They're all inside the top 100 except for Clemson. Even Clemson was 8-4 in their non-conference schedule. All right. Well, to be honest with you, I have pretty low expectations for this game. Kansas is probably going to beat us by 25, 30 points, and with only a minute left on my timer here before the end of things, I'm actually going to just go ahead and let it sim and try to actually sim through the tournament as well so that we can get to the results and see who wins this year. I'm not likely to get past Kansas at all, especially without Clint King. I mean, we've gotten worse and worse and worse as the season's gone on. Luckily, we only have the 1 injured player right now, but we are definitely not the same team. All right, so here's that matchup. Let's at least take a look at the email on the scouting report. Yeah, 11% chance. Runyon is equal to their their power forward, A King. See, they've got an A King. We have a C King, so our grade a little bit lower. We're just average. All right. Box score it is. Box score it is. Season probably about to be done here. And it's not. They come out with the upset. Are you kidding me? 70-62 over the number 15 team in the nation, the Kansas Jayhawks. How did we get that done? How did we pull that one off? I'm still not seeing anything that really suggests that we should have won this game. Runyon 5 of 20 shooting with 14 points to lead all scores. Jefferson was 5 of 6. Look at that, rebounds. That could have been it right there. 7 offensive rebounds for Runyon. We got 14 boards for Granberry, 16 for Runyon, 30 combined between those two guys. That might have been the difference right there. But Jefferson only had 2 boards, but he was 5 of 6 shooting. Turnovers were pretty low besides Harrington. Just 10 turnovers for the game. They had 16. Rebounding 43-39, so we had a slight edge there. We had 13 offensive rebounds. They had just 6, so that definitely made a difference. 11 of 21 from free throws. How did we win that game? 5 of 17 beyond the arc. How did we win that game? 37% from the field. Well, they were 37% from the field as well. So, yes, I think the rebounds are literally the only real difference other than a +6 on turnovers. Wow, okay. 1 point lead at the half. Bigger edge. The end, points in the paint. 30-6. There you go. Second chance points. 17-8. So, yes, the boards and those points in the paint. That absolutely is how we won that game. Next up, it's going to be Duke, the 3 seed, 22-11, number 8 in the country. I'm going to put forward a date here. Again, 11% chance. This time, though, every advantage goes to every single aspect of their program over ours. And our season is done. Wow, that was close though. 59-57. Certainly made a game of it. So weird after last year. What the expectations were, and then the downfall. And then this season we come in with no expectations and nearly pull off the miracle. Granberry, 16 boards again. Absolutely huge in that one. Runyon, 1 of 13 shooting. Watkins was 1 of 8 shooting. So we 32% from the field. We held them to 32% as well, and apparently that's what kept it close. This time 75% on the free throws, but only 12 attempts to their 19. Let's see, boards, +1. Turnovers, +1. Wow, they had 22 blocks in the game. Are you kidding me? No wonder we kept missing. 22 of those misses, right? You take that away, we got 46. That's nearly 50%. So, their big boys had 4 blocks apiece, both forwards and their center. That had an impact on the game for sure. Oh, so close though. Oh, so close. There you go. Season's done. I'm totally out of time now, so I'll have to get through the rest of the tournament off camera. I will let you know in the next episode as we kick off next week again. I won't have 4 episodes next week, but we will still have 3 episodes next week as we have our regular slotted time plus 2 episodes right around the national championship. So Final Four national championship games. We'll get a couple more episodes in, and then we'll go back to our normal couple a week after that. But it's been an exciting week. The tournament is going great. We got to the second round this year, so that was an improvement despite losing Clint King, despite going down in the first round of our own conference tournament. But we're still going to be promoted, so we're moving on up. Conference F. We've got some decent recruits coming in. 4 new players, so we are going to have some changes to the roster next season, but I think there's a good chance that we're going to be as good, if not better, next season than we were this season. One big thing will be how far into the year how far into the year we are when Clint King finally comes back. But that's going to do it for this episode. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my road to the record. Bye for now.